Yeah, highly.
Man.
He's out. All right, good evening. I will open up the October 15th, 2019 meeting of the Hamilton Planning Board. It's 7 o'clock. On the agenda tonight, we will have a public hearing that we're going to vote to hopefully continue until November 5th for the 59 and 63 Willow Street property. We may talk a little bit about our master planning discussion, reviewing our residential master plan presentation from a few weeks ago. We have a little bit of board business to take care of, and then that will be it for the most part. So first thing is we need to vote to continue the public hearing and site plan review for 59 and 63 Willow Street. Part of the reason is I originally, when we made this agenda, I didn't think we were going to have a quorum tonight. I didn't think Janelle would be here. Rick and I would have to recuse ourselves. And she cannot.
Right?
Yeah,
She cannot vote?
She cannot. So, and I knew Dan wasn't going to be here, so it was, yeah.
Okay.
So just decided to push it off until the 5th.
Whoa.
But
I thought the only thing, what's the only thing that a
site plan
special
review.
member
An alternate?
special permit, okay.
Special
site
permit.
plan,
Or, I'm sorry,
special permit.
special permit, yeah.
Yeah, right, okay, my mistake.
So I'll entertain a motion to continue the meeting to the 5th.
I make a motion, we continue the site plan review of a proposed project at 5963 Willow Street to
That's the-
November 12th.
That's wrong, it's going to be the 5th.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought it was one.
It's the 5th.
It is the
Yep,
5th,
it's the
okay.
5th.
So I'll amend that to say I propose to, or make a motion to continue the site plan review of 5963 Willow Street till our next meeting on November 5th.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, unanimous, thank you. Master planning, I don't know, Scott, just so you're updated, we had a couple of discussions, I wasn't here for one of them, but, you know, we did talk a little bit about it last meeting. You know, we had the presentation on the September 19th, from our consultant. I know the board had talked, in my absence a little bit about, one of the things we're thinking of doing is any bylaw that we're thinking of either proposing new or changing existing, you know, the board thinks that we should have some kind of a fiscal analysis similar to what was done in the, you know, by our consultants on those few examples, doing something like that for any potential bylaw that we change or propose. That was
I am actually going to draft
Roughly,
Patrick some ideas about companies who we might hire to do that. The interest would also transcend lots of boards here. It wouldn't just be of
Right.
interest to us. The school board would be interested, the Board of Selectmen, so,
Yeah, I mean, it would take into account, you know, the fiscal impact, the, you know, students in the school, I mean, all that kind of stuff. Again, it all depends on what kind of a bylaw, you know, we'd be talking about or what kind of modifications, but each one of those would have different effects on various things in town, and services and schools and, you know, whatnot. So, that was one of the big things that kind of came out of it that, you know, we felt, has been lacking maybe in some of the other, you know, some of the other bylaws that have been proposed or changed. You know, a lot of people want to know some of that information. You know, that never happens usually until town meeting floor, right? Maybe sometimes in a public hearing, but we'd rather have that information out, and, you know, it would also inform us whether it makes sense or not. So, you know, if you have any thoughts on that, but, you know, it would require, you know, a little bit of money, obviously, to do that. But I think if we got far enough along in the process of, you know, a potential bylaw or a change, that would probably make sense to do, so.
Sounds like a great idea. My only suggestion would be kind of material bylaws, not, you know, something's got to. Good evening, Scott Mattern, 12 Olcott Road. Thanks for discussing this a little bit more. I was away during some of the other presentations, so I was hoping to catch up a little bit. Fiscal analysis is always good. Everybody loves it. We're a conservative spending town generally, so I think that is in line with what most people would like. I would ask that not go too overboard though, and only look at things that are estimated to have some kind of significant impact. I don't know how you judge that, but not like go through this for every, suddenly legislate something that snowballs. That would be my only suggestion.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Is there anything else that need to add on the end of that?
No, I just, it was interesting, I went to the presentation of the housing production plan. Was that last week?
Yeah, we do.
Well, it was funny because the housing production plan was very prescriptive in terms of providing a roadmap of zoning bylaws that the town should be pursuing, which I found interesting because we didn't get it in our master plan, but the housing production plan has a recommendation to, look at like cluster and reviewing the open space and farmland preservation bylaw and the greatest states.
We got some of that.
I know, but it was funny that it showed up in the housing production plan, which I was thinking was more geared to affordable housing. And this was a roadmap for, it was included all the things the town should be pursuing. So it was like, oh, well, that's interesting. So,
Rick, who set up the housing production plan, the meeting that you went to?
Same consultant,
well, it was Jen Goldson did the housing production plan for the Affordable Housing Trust.
For the Affordable Housing Trust, okay.
Right.
Thank you.
And its primary focus was on affordable housing.
Yeah, what you'd expect.
Right.
I mean, did it go into detail about how modifying those bylaws that you just mentioned would affect affordable housing? I mean, given that some of those would have to be inclusionary, but, I mean.
No, well, I haven't read it, so I can't comment in detail. I was just there for the presentation, and it really was a 500-foot overview of, what the town needs to produce on an annual basis in terms of housing to get safe harbor and, sort of that kind of information, demographics and.
So what was the outcome of units per year? I know that happened in the last one.
It's the same,
Same.
14 units, need to produce 14 units a year to get safe harbor. You can get safe harbor now for 3 years.
Mhm.
I thought it was 2 before. So, same challenge.
Right.
Absolutely.
Great. So unless anybody has anything to add about master planning, I think that's good. But, we're gonna be, in the near future, talking about what we think we need to revise based on the master plan and getting into that, relatively soon. So those are our next steps, so, just so you know. Great. So on to board business. I don't know if most of you have heard, but this is our last meeting with Janelle. She's resigning from the board.
Where's Janelle going?
Janelle does not know where, she knows she's going to Pakistan on Sunday for 6 weeks.
For 6 weeks?
For 6 weeks on a Fulbright, and then after that, I'm not sure, probably overseas.
So you're no longer.
I am on sabbatical this year and looking for other opportunities overseas, probably.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Sabbatical.
Yeah.
I know about those. They're very nice.
They are very nice.
Sounds like you're taking full advantage of it.
Yes, I am taking full advantage and going to Pakistan first for 6 weeks on a Fulbright.
What will you be doing in Pakistan?
I will be working with the university on their potential accreditation by the Northeastern Accrediting Association, and also on a leadership development strategy for different sectors of society in Pakistan. So amongst whatever else.
Are you familiar with Pakistan, the kinds of courses that they give in the university now? And
This university, I am, it's a private university, so, and it's English language, so it's similar to what I did when I lived in Hong Kong and worked at a university on curriculum and things like that.
Just don't go to Kashmir.
I'm near Kashmir. I'd like to go to Kashmir, but I probably will not. So, So it should be a good
Tip
experience.
Scales.
Great, well, we thank you very much for the time you spent with us and your
How long
insight.
was it?
A couple years, probably.
Yeah, something like that.
And prior to that, you were an associate.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
right.
We're gonna miss you
Yeah, I hate,
and wish you
hate,
well.
hate to leave, but.
No, you don't.
But I am excited about different
Yes.
options I'm exploring.
So in this event, do we appoint our alternate for a temporary position until the next election?
Yes, that would be what we would like to do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
That was a great segue. That was exactly what I was gonna do. So, yeah, certainly entertain a motion to, appoint Laura into the full position. And, yeah, she would then have to, if she wants, you know,
Another associate as well?
we do not.
Oh,
So,
only have one, okay.
yeah, so we'll need, you know, again, appoint her, and then she, if you want, you'll have to run in the spring, if you want to potentially keep the seat, and then we'll have to find a couple more associates, so. But yes, that would be the
And her
first
name
time.
needs to go to the Board of Selectmen. for-
Correct, we would have to recommend her, vote on it tonight, recommend her for appointment by the Board of Selectmen, so.
Second?
Oh, no, I need a motion, so, sorry. You
Make
can
a
say so
motion,
moved, I
Bill.
mean, I guess that's, you know,
So moved.
okay,
Second?
a second.
Yeah, don't use, this. Make a real motion. So moved isn't a real motion.
Oh, jeez.
All right, I
One
make a
second.
motion that we approve, Laura's appointment to the planning board as a full-time member, and forward to the selectmen for their approval.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
opposed? Unanimous?
Okay,
Okay, move forward that along to them.
Thank you.
now you're in big trouble.
Now I'm in big trouble.
Okay, well, good, that's excellent.
And Janelle, when are you today stepping down, or,
When do I leave?
yes?
Well, on Sunday I leave for Pakistan,
Oh,
so I'm
He's
so
putting,
your
gone.
resignation is immediate?
is as of today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of them have known, Patrick has known and some
Okay.
others.
And Laura, how long have you been an associate? I forget.
So
A
I
year?
got my
been about
daughter
a
married
year.
off
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
Saturday.
okay, good.
I got both my daughters married off, that's why I'm leaving the country.
Yes. Well,
Job well done.
things may happen and it's whatever, and you may need to come back.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
So you haven't sold your house?
It will go on the market tomorrow,
Oh. So,
so it'll be on the market while
Wow.
I'm gone,
Yeah,
yeah.
which I decided was the easiest thing to do.
Yeah,
And
right.
then everything goes into storage while I decide where in the world I will live.
great.
Send us a card once in a while.
Yes, I will. I'll tell you where I land.
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
end.
Great. Okay, I don't have anything else. I don't know if anybody else does, but.
I don't.
I don't.
No, thank
No?
you.
Yeah, we don't have any minutes, so, from the last meeting, so.
Wow,
Yeah.
over my time, the meetings have gotten shorter and shorter.
You had nothing to do with it. Don't
Yeah,
take credit.
This could be a record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Oh, I'm sorry.
Your new business?
Oh, yeah, please. I forgot about that.
So I've recently had a pretty good experience that I think after years of having really bad cell service in town, and it made me think about how that could be applied to a lot more people and what your role in that might be. So something I'd ask you to consider is something that I went through and maybe sponsor through a town meeting or funding, which is I personally went and bought a in-house cell signaling booster, which I've been reluctant to do. It's like $250. It's kind of like buying generators, you know, like because the electrical service wasn't good enough. But cell service is a utility now, like electricity. Well, the town worked hard to make our electricity better. It is better. And we've had a lot less failures recently, worked hard with National Grid. But there's been inordinate delays induced about the cell tower that's been approved by town meeting. Does impact lots and lots of people. So I'd like you to think about sponsoring something in town meeting if people can demonstrate poor or inadequate cell service, which there's all sorts of things in the phone, there's apps that test it, something that comes up with an objective standard saying somebody's in really bad shape, that the town would pay for one for those people who can demonstrate that that need, because it's we need them. So the reason why I'm asking you is because the things got into a kerfuffle, partially because of members of the planning board. I was also going to make the same request to the Horace Historic District Commission, because I think they're currently involved in delaying the cell tower as well. So I think it's something to bring forward to a town meeting. I'm happy to help. I have some background, not a lot, but I could help doing lots of legwork or investigation if that would be of assistance, because I know you're all busy and have a lot of things to do, or I could gather a couple more people and come up with other ideas. So I just want to share that my services, I can text, I can have drop calls.
So does it work?
It works. It works just fine. So
I mean, how much did it boost it? I mean, I know just.
My actual numbers were probably 50% better, 75% better, but it was so bad, didn't make any difference what the number was before. So it functions now, which before I had no function.
Yeah, who'd you use? Was it Verizon or?
Verizon.
Yep.
I think I got something that picks up the satellite that boosts my cell service, which helped. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
there's-
expensive.
Different vendors have different
Yeah.
things. Each of the carriers offer things. There's generic ones that are out there. It's not necessarily one size fits all. I found one from Verizon. I decided to go with the company that I'm stuck with, and it works. So everybody now in
Yeah,
my
I mean,
household is happy.
the problem with this proposal, as interesting as it is that we might get the town to buy 1,000 of these or whatever and give them to residents in hardship, and then a year from now, cell service improves,
yeah.
and that's sort of money down the drain, or useless money down the drain.
Yeah, we've had a lot of money down the drain, Bill. The tens of thousands of legal costs to fight all the way through federal courts, by the delay induced by the very few people who are against this, even though this was approved by town meeting. We've probably lost, I'm guessing, nearly $150,000 of revenue over the 2.5 years since it was approved by town meeting. So I'm not a fan of spending stupid money. I'm not. But this other circumstance has been thrust upon us and delayed so much, and people are suffering. And in terms of actual rollout, if there were commitments by the people who are objecting or not going to, or they're going to help move things forward, and then we wouldn't have to do something like this potentially. So I'm not a fan of like spending town money on things that the town already approved and is being delayed by a very small set of folks. But if there is a way to solve stuff, which I've happened to experience, I see no reason why we shouldn't be able to scale that up for our other citizens.
I have a question. Since it seemed that after that last meeting with the Historic District Commission, they recognized that all they could do is, what's the?
Mitigate.
Huh?
Mitigate.
Mitigate, thank you. Mitigate the situation, that I think we should have, as a board, ask the cell tower company, with their new Sovereign, what's their new name now?
I forget what it is now.
Yeah,
It's
whatever it is.
Everest.
Huh?
Everest.
Everest.
Okay, I think we should suggest to them and request that they begin construction now, because the mitigation is something that can be done after the tower is in place. It's not gonna change the basic construction of the tower. So I see absolutely
Mr.
no
Chair,
reason why they
my
can't start
request is,
construction.
I know you're not supposed to discuss new business, this is introducing the idea, so I just wanted to help introduce that. If you'd like some help formulating that agenda or providing some background, preparation, even if you would all consider it, I'm more than happy to help to do that. But I'd ask that you'd think about this as a
Right, because
practical
it's,
solution.
right, because it's
that's
not,
quick.
I mean, that cell tower aside, I mean, that is gonna happen, and when it does go up, there will still be people that don't
Yeah.
have service, so.
Yeah, you
It could
wouldn't
be
get any
two.
service.
But it's not about that, it's,
I think, not to debate the
cell service in
point,
general,
is
yeah.
nobody could have set a watch to the first town meeting approval to wherever we are now,
Right.
and then whatever future evolutions
Right.
there might be.
Right. No, agreed.
I don't know how we could envision all that. So is it for certain this is gonna happen at a point in time? I would like to hear somebody say that. So in lieu of that,
Yeah.
I think it's always good to look at alternatives and options, and if they're practical, then consider it and potentially bring that forward to a town meeting.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have something, Peter?
Well, I was just gonna say, I'm on a task force with the town manager, and town manager saw the cell facilities up at Gordon Conwell, and we're negotiating with Gordon Conwell for, you know, compensation for, it's a pilot agreement, a payment in
Right.
lieu of taxes. And we've discovered that there's quite a bit of space in the steeple of the chapel up there. So we've hired a consultant whose report will be coming in the next couple of weeks. And it will either decide the engineering requirements. The letter we got from Varsity, now called Everest, that they can't put a 5G system into this chapel is baloney, according to the consultants. They say that's not true. There's no real difference in the size, so there, and we have 5 different sites that Dave Thompson has identified.
Well,
So
and-
there's a lot of options, and I think we'll get probably town-wide coverage in another few months, so I think you'll be better
No,
off.
no, you won't. No, you won't.
Could I speak just regarding my request, but
Yeah, yeah.
I think what he's bringing up is indicative of what could induce unknown delays.
Why
I'm a
would
big,
Well,
that?
it's-
I'm a big
it's
fan
not
of,
gonna
I'm
delay-
a big fan of going with what the town meeting told us to do. And we should do that.
No, and that
And we
is
should
gonna happen.
do it as practically and as expeditiously as possible. And that's what town meeting, you know, they asked us to get
Right.
a cell tower here.
Right.
Peter, all of
There's
this-
other ones that somebody wants to get, or there's other initiatives to start, or additional things to do, then awesome, go get going on other stuff too. I'm not saying don't do other things, but when that might happen, again, I almost defy anybody to throw a dart at a date. This is stuff that's available now, immediately.
Nope, I totally agree, and I was at the Historic District meeting the other day, where they were talking about the cell tower, and he's just working through, like Richard said, some mitigation with Mass Historic. That's the last, it's not even really a hurdle, it's just, they want him to mitigate the visual aspect of the tower, right? Whether that's with some trees or whatever, with the $15,000 they're giving back to the town. It's gonna happen. I don't have a date. He didn't give a date, but that tower is gonna happen, and yes, there will be other things to look at for future coverage that we need. I mean, that's not gonna solve all of our needs in town, of course, but, looking at other sites for other towers and cover other areas, we need to do that too, so. And we'll certainly,
But putting a cell tower behind the town hall isn't gonna help you at all, Scott.
he didn't
you
say,
want
he
it
didn't say it would,
Oh,
so.
that's why maybe taking,
He's just saying, in general, there's a lack of coverage in a lot of areas in town. So, let's look at all the options, so.
So, or, Scott, can you, just so I can ask a question and the audience can hear. So, this is your suggestion is in addition to the cell tower that eventually will be going up in the next whatever number of months?
Yes, something that we could implement more rapidly, and unknown what other future delays might be induced with whatever project, the current one or other future ones. I think it's a way to obviate those delays and allow people to get better service faster.
So, or.
How would you identify and distinguish residents who say their service is inadequate from those who don't?
Well,
Being an
I don't know
economist, if I know that there's a black box over here that's cost $250, and I can come over to town hall and get one, just sign up, I'll say, sure. So everybody will in fact sign up for it, which
Yeah,
will
there's an
wind up
objective-
costing
there's an
quite a lot of
objective
money,
measure bill
maybe,
of that, which
maybe
is-
half, yeah, but I don't want to get us so thick into the weeds where we're sending out, somebody from the engineers department to go to every house with a little machine and test
I think
whether
you're
or
going
not
in
there's
the
enough
wrong
reception.
direction. The people who have bad service know they have bad service. Once they hear that there's an initiative, they'll respond. Plus,
No, but I mean, no, but the people who don't have bad service
Won't
will
respond.
probably say, hey, maybe this will improve my service. Why shouldn't
Maybe
I
they
go get,
won't.
why shouldn't I get the box?
My only issue with it is, for whatever reason, when the cell tower went in on Asbury Street, my service downtown improved slightly in my house. And then lately, it's been getting worse. And I think it's just due to more and more and more devices on the network, right?
So my request
Right.
is, Bill, think about how to help our citizens, that there are objective ways in your own phone. I don't know if you have a mobile phone or not, but if you have one, both Android and iOS have objective ways of saying what the cell signal strength is. There's independent apps that do all that. It's a simple thing to do that's verifiable, and it's not complicated. Simple. So things that are simple, easy, help us implement the will of the town meeting, that we can do practically and quickly, I think are alternatives we should think about.
No, I agree. And then I just want to continue my thought real quick is what I did, since I couldn't talk in my house in certain areas, I started using Wi-Fi calling. That's helped a ton.
Yeah.
So anybody whose phone is Wi-Fi capable and they have internet at their house,
Yeah.
that's what I would do, at least for now. So the only issue I have with your initiative is that it doesn't help outside the house. That's the only issue, right? So you're driving around town, you're in a dead, that's the only thing. It's only helping you in your home.
But of course, the box you'd buy for your house wouldn't help you driving around town.
That's what I
either.
said. That's what I said, yeah, right. So, but yeah, no, you're right. We need to look at a lot of different things, and because we do have overall awful service in lots of areas of town, so.
Thank you for
Thanks, Scott.
listening.
All right. Anything else from anyone? All right. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I move that, you want to do it? This is your last chance.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Congratulations.
Thank you.